What up, y'all?
Welcome
to the J&O Show.
Where we talk about
this beautiful black woman. Well, she wasn't that beautiful. Not your type of beautiful. It's different type of beautiful. It's beautiful black woman that they all are. Not your type of beautiful. It's different type of beautiful. Yep. Anyway, this beautiful black woman is sitting here dropping facts about how soft we have gotten as a society. I appreciated it so much, I gave her 2 snaps in a circle.
2 snaps up in a circle.
No, I gave her a thumb up. We don't do no snaps in a circle. No. We don't do that. Nope. Stay to the end because she was cooking from beginning to the end.
Yes.
Crazy.
Roll clip.
I'm not exactly sure how it's happened, but I'll give you my take on it, right? We've never talked about mental health more before, yet somehow we've become weaker because instead of building emotional strength, we've built a culture that rewards emotional fragility. We've made it normal to break down over minor inconveniences. We've convinced people that if something makes them uncomfortable, it must be harmful. We've created a world where feelings aren't just acknowledged, they're treated like the absolute truth. And we know that
we get to see this played out all the time. When we watch all of these relationship podcasts, when we watch the Red Pill podcast, when we watch marriage podcasts, and you listen to what people use as their reasoning for why they feel and act and do the things that they do. Watch very carefully what a panel of regular guys and regular women use as their thing that backs up their point. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Now, you get to the thing where you get to people that this is what they do.
Right.
They do podcasts or they study in this field and stuff like that. And that's when everything changes. When you have women who study in a certain field concerning relationships, it's completely different because then they start using the knowledge that they've gained to come to conclusions. But when you just let regular people have conversations, it's logic versus emotion.
I don't know, because some of the professionals, the people that study this stuff that I've heard, I'm just like, it still seems very rooted in
how you feel?
Yes.
They try to psychoanalyze how you feel to come up with why you should acquiesce to how they feel.
Yes.
I don't know.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
Because I'm thinking about, like, for example, the lady that we reacted to not too long ago on Poor Man's podcast, the better marriages or
we have the best marriages. The best marriages today are actually the best marriages of all time. That part?
Mm-hmm. In the same breath, if I'm not mistaken, she was saying that people who get married nowadays between the ages of like 28 and 33 or something like that, and they were college educated and they have the best marriages. And I was just like,
I don't know what metric she was using to say that was the best marriages of all time. But anyway, emotion right now is king.
Yes.
And the reason emotion is
which
king,
is very scary, y'all.
But I think the reason emotion is king is because we have a society where a lot of the men in the society and most of the women believe that they need to acquiesce to how we feel. Men used to be more logic-based.
Remember the good old days?
Used to be. They're not anymore. And they're starting to act like a lot of the women.
That's not good.
There is a purpose for women having more connections in their brain to their emotions. And we're not using it for that. We're using it to judge everything in society instead of what it was made for. Those connections were made for a very specific reason.
Y'all, when you step outside, and I know everybody that watch our channel is not necessarily...
Oh, we ain't talking about y'all. Y'all perfect. Yep. You ain't gonna talk about that. They know they perfect. We know they perfect. We all understand it was them and it was Jesus. And God was like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, Jesus, you going down. I already know that. So we ain't even gotta worry about that. Nope.
No, I was just gonna say, whenever you step outside of doing things the way that the Lord set forth, it just doesn't seem to work well.
It doesn't work that way.
Like the outcome is just, it's not good. Okay, I'm just gonna keep on going.
that feelings are not facts. And here's what that looks like in real life. Discomfort is mistaken for danger. If a conversation makes you uneasy, it must be toxic. If a person challenges you, they must be unsafe.
I appreciate
think like her. Give me hope.
I was going to say, I appreciate what she's putting down right now, because if y'all want to see this real, like for real, look at how kids interact today versus how kids interacted, let's say 20, 30 years ago. It's completely different. And yes, I understand that we live in a different time. We're more modernized. We have different technology and everything like that. But there's an art to socialization that's being lost in this generation with our children because they are stuck on these devices, all these mobile devices that they're stuck on. They don't know how to be able to sit down and engage in conversation with one another. What happened to back in the day when you used to, like, they call it roasting now.
Yeah, crack jokes.
When you used to crack jokes, you know what I'm saying? Be able to crack jokes, know how to take a joke in playful, not people who was trying to really hurt your feelings type thing. But, you know, being able to crack a joke, like kids can't even really crack a joke without taking it personal, or know how to crack a joke without making it personal. Like, they don't know how to engage with one another anymore. When you lose certain foundational things, like how to be able to interact with another human being, this is what happens. Society starts to break down, because I do agree with her. We have become very weak, like fragile minded.
You're weak.
People can't handle things anymore. It's just like, oh my gosh, like the slightest thing can send somebody spiraling. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that nobody should have a moment where you break down when things are happening to you over and over and over again. But I'm talking about real things, like tragic things, not something where it's not detrimental. No one died. No one is physically harmed. Nothing has happened to you physically where you're going to be psychologically damaged for the rest of your life. I'm not talking about things like that. I'm talking about little things where you can get over in time, if that makes sense. I don't know. I'll let her keep cooking though. But I agree with her.
I love the fact that it's a woman doing this.
Be unsafe. If a situation feels hard, it must be harming you. Boundaries are also being used as walls. Instead of learning how to have difficult conversations, we shut people out completely. Instead of addressing issues, we disappear and call it self-preservation, or I'm protecting my peace or my mental health. Struggle is now being labeled as crisis.
Sounds a whole lot like a lot of these reasons for divorce folk coming up with.
He ain't lying.
That's what that sounds like to me, because this is the channel by married people, for married people, and people who want to be married. You know, that's kind of where I'm always going to go anyway. But I see some of y'all in our comments, y'all not subscribed. I know y'all not.
How does that happen?
Because the people that subscribe to our channel, they perfect. The rest of y'all are not subscribed, and that's the problem. That's the problem right there. If you subscribed, you would become perfect.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you wouldn't have these problems.
You wouldn't have these problems.
As a crisis, we've also blurred the lines between real hardship and normal life challenges. And instead of navigating stress, we call everything overwhelming. Instead of working through difficulties, we assume that we're just burnt out. We protect feelings over growth. And instead of asking, what is this teaching me? We ask, how do I make this stop? Instead of allowing emotions to come and go, we obsess over them like they define us. We've created a mindset where people believe that emotions should be protected instead of processed. Life isn't going to tiptoe around you. The world isn't going to adjust itself to your emotional needs.
Yo, sis.
Bars.
That's called bars.
Sis. Oh my goodness. Yo, I'm gonna tell you right now, bro. If most women thought like her, this would be a completely different world. If most men, especially nowadays, thought like her, this would be a completely different and better world. I mean, goodness, we wouldn't have all of this, our American soft and all of that other stuff. That wouldn't be a conversation.
Bruh, even that last part, what she just said, as far as process, like we protect our feelings as opposed to process. Y'all, success is on the other side of fear, I believe, is what he said. That is so true. We cannot be so afraid of uncomfortability that we don't even try, or we're just like, nope, no, you know what? I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. It's too much. In order for you to be able to get to the other side, you have to be able to push through. The example that's always given with diamonds. You cannot get a diamond unless you have extreme pressure. You are not going to become the best version of yourself until you can actually learn how to get through that pressure, that pain point, that tragedy, whatever that thing is. Because all of the different things that we go through in life, you either allow it to bring you down or you use it as a stepping stool for you to be able to bring yourself up. And if it's tragic things, don't get me wrong, like, you know, you can't just ignore it. You have to process it. If you want to stay sane, you can't just ignore it and think it's going to go away, because it's going to catch up with you one way or the other. So you do have to deal with it. But that's the thing, you have to deal with it. You can't not deal with it and expect to be okay. Like everything that happens to us is going to affect us one way or the other. We have to choose how we allow it to affect us. Do we allow it to build us up or to tear us down?
Here's a question. This is a question, not a statement. Do we have soft people growing up because they were the product of soft parenting?
These are things that make you say,
Do we have people who believe that something that is not actually tragic is emotionally tragic because they were spared the rod? They never went through the hardship when they were young. So now that they're old, when the slightest little thing is off, they're expecting the world to go soft on them like their parents did.
They don't know how to deal.
But the world don't go soft on you. The world go hard on you.
You got that right.
And now that your parents don't went soft, you just are soft.
Maybe.
That's the question. I don't know the psychology behind it. I don't know if it works out that way, or that was just something that came to my head while she was talking. And I was like, I'm wondering if that's a reason why that was such a thing previously in the past. Is that a reason why?
Sparing the rod, spoiling the child.
Right. Is there a reason
so many
why?
implications.
I don't know. I'm just wondering. That could not be the case. I don't know the psychology behind it and stuff like that. I found that the wisdom of our elders far exceeds what we think.
Yeah.
And now that we're learning everything over again from the beginning, because none of us are listening to our elders any longer, we're having to figure out the things they figured out. Unfortunately, a part of that is because they didn't tell us the why behind a lot of things they did. And I think a lot of people didn't know the why behind a lot of things they did. So they put us in a position where we're repeating history.
Yeah.
We're learning their hard lessons.
That's what they say. If you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it.
So I think that might be a part of what's happening right now, because we need to know the why behind why things are happening.
Yeah, so let that be a lesson to all of us, especially parents, that we are understanding the importance of not sitting down and explaining things to a 2-year-old, like with reason.
Yeah.
But once your child becomes to a certain age where they can understand right from wrong, not saying you got to get all philosophical on them or whatever, but sometimes, yes, you have to explain to them why they might need to get popped. If they did something wrong or whatever, explain to them why it has to be done. Especially for my melanated brothers and sisters with our little brown boys, when they get out of line and you have to correct them, you let them know why you have to correct them so that somebody else don't have to correct them that don't love them out in the street. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Go ahead and leave us your comments down below. Let us know what you think. And if you made it this far, go ahead and smash that subscribe button, turn your post notifications, and give us a thumbs up so that way you can tell YouTube that you appreciate what we're putting down.
What we're putting down.
Hey everybody, down in the description, there are 2 links.
One is to a GoFundMe, and the other one is to a video that explains what the GoFundMe is for. Long story short, we have a medical situation with our daughter that we have to pay for everything out of pocket, and we could really use you guys' help. If you have the time, we'd love for you to go check it out. If you have the money, the funds, we'd love for you guys to help. If not, maybe you could send a link to somebody else who can help. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Press the out button.